Alright, everybody, if you'll go ahead and clear your desks. You won't need anything except for a writing utensil. So I'm going to pass out these papers. I'm going to place them face down. Don't turn them over until you're instructed to do so. Alright, so today we will be talking about natural selection. This is going to be the first part of our big unit that we've got coming up. So today we're going to be talking about fantastic features and where you can find them. So we're going to start with our Get Engaged. If you guys want to go ahead and flip over those sheets that I gave you now, those are going to be your Get Engaged guides. So we're going to go over the directions together. So let's see. Sarah Marie, will you read the directions out loud for everyone to hear?
Answer the following questions in the space provided below. Discuss your answer with a shoulder partner.
All right, so wonderful. You're going to answer these 3 questions on your own, and then what you're going to do is turn to your shoulder partner. Actually, for you guys, it'll be your cross partner or whoever your partner is for this lesson. We'll make it easy that way. And you're going to discuss your answers. So you'll have 5 minutes to complete this, starting now. Alright, you guys have a little over 3 minutes left, so if you want to start discussing with your partners your favorite animals and
the characteristics that I'm able to look there. It's large, it's fluffy, and it has eye patches that make the panda appear slightly eyes. But they have other types.
So what's your favorite?
The blonde patches it looks scary to aggressive, so they're like, ooh.
Yeah, I mean,
and then strong jaws for
That's
what I'm looking for. Yeah, I couldn't
I almost put it down. I was like, I'm gonna be wrong.
Do you have the same favorite animals?
Oh no, mine.
That's what I was looking for. Yeah, she got it.
Interesting. What's your name? What about you, Ashley? What's your favorite animal?
Cheetah.
And yours? Wow, I think all of your animals live in the same area generally. We have the most exotic ones. Alright, you guys have just finished your 3rd minute, so you've got 2 more minutes to talk about it. If you have nothing else to say, you guys pretty much just gone through it, we can go ahead and move forward. So, what we're going to do before we move on to today's activity, so we can kind of build our classroom climate a little bit, classroom environment. Cassie, why don't you go ahead and share with everyone what your favorite animal is?
A giraffe.
And where does your favorite animal live?
Like a grassland savanna.
Okay. Did anybody else have giraffe? Did anyone else have an animal that lives in the savannah or grassland? Braylee, what was your favorite animal?
An elephant.
An elephant? Okay. And what about you, Anna? Where
I
did
had panda.
a panda? Okay, cool. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with today's activity.
There it is. Cool. Alright, hello class. So we're going to go over quick safety expectations. There's going to be a little bit of movement today for our lesson. We're not running around or we don't have very many materials, but basically no running, no roughhousing, so you don't need to push and shove. There's 12 stations and there's 6 of you, so you should have plenty of room to move around. It also requires discussion, so you guys just did a great job modeling that with Marshia during that engaged activity. Good voice level there for your discussion. So no yelling, speak in an appropriate volume, and respect others and do not talk while others are talking. Okay? So what we're going to do, you guys will have your Explore guide, which I will pass out now. And we are going to, when I say go, you guys will have some time to go to the other table and look at all of the organisms that are over there. And what you're going to do is fill out these charts with some observations that you notice about the physical traits or characteristics or things you can see at face value with these organisms. So some things to think about. Does it have fur? Does it look like it lives underwater? Does it look like it lives on land? Claws? You're just describing what they look like. You will have 1 minute to observe each organism. That's a rough estimate. If I see you guys are going a little bit faster or slower, I can give you more time, or less if you need it. So you only need your pencil and your Explore guide. And, oh, last thing. When you're thinking about these organisms, try to think about where it might live. Does it look like it has a lot of fur? It might live in a warm place or a cold place. And does it live in wet, dry places, sunny, shaded? So just try to think about where it lives. Picture in your head, where have I seen this before? Have I seen this on TV, or maybe I've seen it in a book somewhere, and try to make some more connections about what you're observing. Okay? Any questions before we begin? Okay, you guys can start now. You guys are welcome to discuss things too if you see some similarities. It doesn't have to be completely silent. Be crazy. If you've made all your observations, you can go ahead and rotate. No, it doesn't matter which way. You can move around as you'd like to.
Yeah. I do. It has probably for water. A tail. Oh, it has really long, slender legs.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea.
I agree too.
If you haven't noticed or you're having trouble thinking of some observations you could be making, we added a couple of things to think about on those bullet points.
Also,
to 7th grade right now.
Hey.
Okay, it's been about 3 minutes, so you should have around probably 3 or 4 of these done. So just so you have some idea of your pacing.
It looks like it's pretty cool. I can see it.
We can use one of these extra. I printed extra. I think there's 10.
Is that what
Yeah, there's enough.
it has like a really big fire, the mouth is bigger.
Sorry.
So you got it? And
It's a very advanced term for 7th grade. Great vocabulary. Poking margin. I'm a fan.
I said Harriet. For that one. Yellow, green, brown,
oh, like this looks
Are you guys starting to see some patterns between some of these things? Some shared characteristics maybe?
sure am. Comfy. It looks flowy.
It could be except for the dog and
Can't move. Or keep walk.
or is this a big thing?
Cool hair. Celebrity.
Straightens
Pretty sweet.
This is
So same thing, like heavy coats, like
Okay, it's been about 6 minutes so far. I think most of you are a lot further ahead than 1 per minute, which is great.
I'm scared.
okay, scary. Big, like really big animal. Large teeth.
So maybe instead of
His eyes are
indicating them with the answers, here they should be asking different questions like the skin, what type of cloud, things on top.
But the dog needs bark or no bark?
I got you. The first time I read that, I thought too. Shark, no bark.
Okay, this one
Is
is
this bark or no bark?
If you finish early and you're still waiting on some other people, maybe try to find some characteristics that other people might have, or you can help lead them to some characteristics.
It says long. Yeah, long. What you got for that dog? Green. Oh, no legs.
Oh, I put a lot.
Which one? What number is it? 2? Furry, floppy ears, right? Slide hands and mouth. Oh, and house. What's your tail? Oh, yeah, this
Flowy.
It looks like it's
Flowy.
He looks like a really big nose, but I don't know.
No. I will go flowy.
Oh,
Raise your hand if you need probably about 1 or 2 more minutes just to finish your observations. Braylee, Anna, are you guys about done with yours?
Last one.
Okay, perfect.
Pokies.
If you finished and you're kind of can't make any more observations, you can go ahead and head back to your seat.
This is a good.
Okay, so we made plenty of good observations as I was walking around and looking. What we're going to do now is you guys can go ahead and flip the page to your explain yourself, and I want you guys to, with a new partner than the one you had before, maybe someone across from you or next to you, work on filling out questions number 1 and number 2, and then stop. I'll give you about 5 minutes to do that.
The organism was?
No, you just write the organism number. That's a good question.
Oh.
Ashley asked, do you need to know the name of the organism? If you know it, you can use it. I'm sure there are some familiar ones over there. If you don't know the name of it, you can just write organism 7 goes in X environment.
Very good observations.
Yeah, I like this.
If you're kind of stuck on one, feel free to discuss with the people around you. You're more than welcome to talk about your observations. That's what scientists do.
There we go. I think it is.
Yeah. Mine's gonna be water.
Unless somehow would matter, right?
Just one slam.
I'll give you guys about 2 more minutes to sort these, and then we're going to have a short discussion about them.
Okay, wait, I'm ready.
What'd you get?
1, 5, 6, 7, 9, 11.
Yep.
We're geniuses.
We are.
You guys got them all sorted?
Yeah.
Did you do number 2?
Oh.
So label each one.
If it makes it easier for you, you can put P or A for shorthand notes.
Do we label them on this chart up here or on
Wherever works for you, either one.
Okay.
Just to keep them straight. Did you all get them all labeled?
Not quite.
Wait.
Sorry.
That's okay. Take your time. Just seeing where everyone's at.
Oh, that's a much easier way to do it. Sitting here like going back and forth.
Y'all got them all labeled? Okay. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to kind of check where you guys are at. So let's take a look at organism number 11. So everyone made some observations on that. Let's see. Jesse, where do you think organism 11 lives?
Looks like he's underwater.
Okay, how do you know that?
Oh, his gills.
Okay, he has gills. What other features do you think might help him out underwater? Cassie.
He's got like a flat, smooth bottom.
Okay. It's good observations.
Like it could,
Flap around.
Yeah.
Okay.
make it swim,
Let's see if we can
swim
find
easier.
one more difficult. These aren't that difficult, but because you guys are so smart. Let's see. Were there any ones that you guys thought were particularly hard to make observations on? You're like, I don't know what I'm looking at.
I kind of struggled to make observations on the stingray, actually. Let me just look at.
On organism number 11?
Yeah, I just struggled to describe it.
He's a strange looking creature.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do one more.
Number 6 was kind of hard to describe.
6. That's not 6. This is 6. Okay, so everyone take a look at number 6 and look back at your observations. Let's have Sarah Marie, would you mind sharing some of your observations on this?
Grass-like, thin, aquatic, flexible, no bark.
Okay, how did you know it was aquatic?
Just it looked like it was underwater.
Fair enough. Those are good enough observations. Okay, so what we're going to do, you guys made some great observations here. We're going to switch gears a little bit and we're going to have you guys explain more about these observations that you made. So, start taking a look at question number 3.
Alrighty, yes. So that was really good work, guys. We've got some new scientist terms that we want to go ahead and define for you guys today. So, like Sarah Marie said, she's our very, very smart 7th grader over here already using some of our new vocabulary, which is nice. But, so some of the things you guys labeled today, what are some more examples of your observations? Does anyone have something that's not an adjective? So maybe not pokey or...
It's got teeth.
It's got teeth. Okay, that's a good one. So teeth, what else do we have? Let's see. Right here on organism 5, Brayley says that it has scales. Let's see. Organism 4 actually has that it has a really big hump. So these things are all they're very important, and they all have one big thing in common. So they're all different for the different organisms, the different species that they're looking at. But they all organisms of that species would have that. Does that make sense? I kind of got tongue-tied a little bit, but it's okay. So what you guys looked at today was mostly visible characteristics or physical traits that these organisms have. So we already went over some of the examples that we talked about, but what's another example from this side of the table? So Sarah Marie, what's an example of a physical trait that you saw today? Claws, that's a good one. Jesse, what about you?
Teeth.
Teeth, we already have that one. Bark, that's another good one. So another term that scientists use to describe physical traits or these visible characteristics that you guys looked at today is external features. So go ahead and answer question number 3 on your explain yourself. I believe it's asking what the definition is of an external feature. And then whenever you're done with that question, go ahead and put your pencil down so I know that we can move forward. Where's my cup? Alrighty, everyone done? Alright, so next I've got some questions for you. Let's see what, oh no. Okay, well, it's alright. The computer froze.
Oh, fun. I'm not here, but I'm here. Why? Okay, you got the slides. You can walk that. I'll work on this.
I do. So we're gonna go ahead and just go with it. We're gonna flex. It's cool. So, next, we've got another scientific term that I want to describe to you guys. So, based on, let me not pick this one because y'all talked about this one already. This organism right here, so organism number 7. What type of environment does this organism live in?
Aquatic.
Aquatic or water? Insert a slide that says water. That's correct. That's right. So another term that scientists use to describe animals and the environment of water is aquatic. So you guys have already, you're pretty smart, pretty advanced, so you guys already know this. And if you didn't, now you do. So aquatic is the word that we're learning today. So what about this guy right here? What type of environment does he live in? Real general. Land, exactly. High five. Way to go. You're doing great. Okay, so land. Another scientific term that scientists use when describing organisms that live on land or land in general is terrestrial, which is on your sheets of paper, so you don't have to learn how to spell it, but it would be on the screen. So go ahead and fill out question number 4 now and describe, 4 and 5, and describe what the definition of aquatic and terrestrial mean, respectively. I'm going to tell you, I worked hard on these transitions.
We're almost there. Struggle bus.
Alright, is everyone done writing down their definitions? Alright, so we're going to go ahead and move along. So, Cassie, will you read out loud your definition for external features?
Visible characteristics of an organism.
Okay, does that sound good to everybody? Sounds about right? Okay, now, Jesse, give me an example of a external feature.
Well, y'all don't like teeth.
We already talked about teeth. There's so many different ones.
Legs.
Legs, that's another good one. Okay, Ashley, why don't you go ahead and give us your definition for aquatic?
Water, a water environment.
Good. Anna, what is an example of an aquatic organism?
Fish.
Fish, that's a good one. All right, we're getting down to the last few. Sarah Marie, go ahead and give me your example, your definition for terrestrial.
Refers to land or organisms that live on land.
Yes, good. And last but not least, Braylee, what's an example of a terrestrial organism?
A dog.
A dog, that is good. You guys are doing a really good job of naming a lot of animals, but we also need to be conscious that plants are also organisms too. So aquatic plants are like some of the ones we've looked at today, and also some of the, aquatic plants, and then like trees are terrestrial plants. I forgot to, my slides are like throwing me off, but it's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and just put these up there.
Okay.
Alrighty. So those are all of our terms. Wow. Okay, we really need the slides for this next part.
Is it on Google Docs?
No, it's just on the flash drive.
Laptop sacrifice. That'd be wonderful.
I was gonna say I'll hold them up if I have to. That's cool though.
So, classic excuse. It's never done this before.
Like, are you using a flash drive?
I was say, at least it's on
Do you want to use one of our computers?
Yeah,
That's
I think
what
she's
I
getting
was
hers.
Okay. Ready.
Bless you.
We'll take a brief intermission.
Does this say
It's a Mac, so you probably have to hook it up to.
the dongle?
Yeah.
Is it over here?
I think Dr. West has it.
Cool. Dr. West, would you be so gracious as to allow us to use your dongle?
while we're trying to figure all of this out, why don't you guys go ahead and discuss, using your new vocabulary words, some of the similarities you guys see between the different organisms. And while we get these slides set up, I'll bring around the...
I believe intestinal features have aquatic animals. Aquatic
Alright, I'm gonna leave these for you guys over here. And then you guys can share these over here as well.
Also label aquatic or terrestrial. Okay.
I'm gonna say
the color green. So this is terrestrial fish. Does anyone have
a terrestrial object we
This
could
one's
change?
terrestrial.
Oh, I did that on purpose. Oh, she did that on purpose.
I'm saying yes.
I think it's
Because you're
definitely the color.
comparing the
green.
similarities.
So a lot of them
This
are,
one has
well, these are like long,
animals.
that one's like a smaller and just kind of shorter.
These plants look pretty sturdy.
We do look
Does
pictures
it
like they're
float?
not
Yeah,
floating.
smooth.
Yeah,
They're clearly not moving in the water.
These guys, they're, did y'all say flowy?
Yeah, but they're
Flowy, flexible,
They all pair.
is a better word for flowy.
These all with thorns.
they intake carbon.
Oh, that's a nice one. See how that?
Smooth. Yeah, they all kind of look smooth.
They do look smooth.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a very nice observation. Yeah, we don't have to make water over there.
It should be good. Does that work?
No, it doesn't, but I'll send it over here. Okay, guys, we are finally back up and running. So, before we move any further, talking about our new vocabulary words of aquatic, terrestrial, and the external features of these organisms, I want to point out something very important as we're going to go through this whole unit. That is going to be the difference between diversity and variation. So, those two words are completely separate. Some people often get them confused and think that they mean the same thing, or mean that one means another or the other means something else. So, what I want to be very clear with is that the word diversity is referring to the different number of species. So the difference between the species. Like, an example we've got coming up I think you guys will like, but a real life example that I can think of off the top of my head is, let's see, in my house, the diversity in my house is there's humans that live there and there are cats that live there. So those are two diverse, so that's the diversity of my home. The two different species, because people, Homo sapiens, aren't cats, feline, something like that. But the thing is about my home as well, my home has variation because there are 4 people that live there. We all have different eye colors. We all have different heights. We all have different hair textures. And my cats are also different colors too. So that's the variation between the species. So variation is between my cat, one cat's gray, one cat's white. Variation between me and my roommates, I have brown eyes, my other roommate has green eyes. So that's variation between the species, but the diversity is the different number of species. So does that make sense to everybody? All right, so another example I've got for you guys today that I think you guys will like, and maybe a few of you will get. So we have a diversity of Pokemon on the screen right here. So those are all different species of Pokemon up there. Whereas variation, that's the same Pokemon, but he's different forms, different powers, different things like that. I'm not very knowledgeable on Pokemon, but you know. If you know, you know. If you don't, then you can use the other examples.
Evolution.
There you go.
Oh my god, it's
So this is what we were going to talk about earlier, but you guys already know that water means aquatic, and that terrestrial means land, and there we go. Those are our words and our examples. They're already on the word wall. So now we're going to move on and finish question number 7. So I know you guys were, if you were on this half of the table, you've already kind of got a head start looking at some of the similarities between these organisms up here. So I want you to go ahead and list down 2 similarities that you see on these organisms. Alrighty, we're gonna wait a little bit, make sure that everyone's finished. Alright, let me grab this one prepared. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. Am I good to move on?
Yes.
Alright. So I want you to go ahead and do the same for this question. What are two similarities you see between these plants? Alright, everyone done? Okay, you know what? Let's alrighty. So I guess I should probably spell that wrong. Alright, Samory, go ahead and give me one example, or give me your two examples of similarities you saw between aquatic plants.
They look smooth and they appear to be flexible.
Alright, good. Braylee, go ahead and give me your two examples that you saw from terrestrial plants.
I said they're green and they're stiff.
Okay, so I want to go ahead and point out something right here. Because it is true, they are green, but so are the aquatic plants that are green. So what's something that sticks out to you that these land plants have that these aquatic plants don't have? Besides their stiffness, because that's a good example. Anyone? Raise your hand. Sarah?
They don't look as smooth.
They
They
don't.
have little jagged points or they have bark.
Alright, so jagged points are bark. I'll put rough. Jagged. That's basically that. Okay. And bark. Which is good. I just didn't want you to get confused and think that maybe all land plants are green because during, well, I mean, I guess we're almost in winter, but not all land plants always stay green. All right, next. So go ahead and write down two similarities you see between these organisms on the screen. Anyone need any more time? Alrighty then, let's see. Braylee, you gave me your example for terrestrial. Anna, what's your two similarities you see between these organisms?
I put down that they have tails and fins.
Tails and fins. Alright, that's good. Is there any, did anyone else make an observation that's different from Anna's? You did? Do you want to give it to the class?
I put they have gills.
They all have gills? Yeah. Alright, so now this is our last one we're going to be doing comparisons on. So go ahead and write down your 2 examples. Alright, everyone good? Jesse, go ahead and give me your 2 examples that you saw between these 4 organisms up here.
Fur and legs.
Fur and legs, that's good. Does anyone else have a different one besides fur and legs? Anna?
They kind of have the same facial features, eyes, nose, mouth.
Eyes, nose, and mouth. That's good too. And kind of how they're all placed in the same kind of order. I'm gonna write that as face structure. Alright, so go ahead and start working on question number 10, and then we can finish that up before we move to our next part of this lesson.
For number 10, just for clarification, that question is asking about the chart that you filled out for questions number 1 and 2, where you sorted them in water and land environments. It's asking you to provide your evidence as to why you think those things live there or are placed there. When you finished with number 10, go ahead and put your pencil down, just so I know that everyone is done. Give you about 1 more minute to wrap up your thinking there. Is everyone done? Cool. So one really important thing for scientists to do is to provide evidence for their answers. So can we have, let me call on you a billion times, sorry. Ashley, can you share your evidence as to why you sorted those organisms? Let's talk about land animals or plants.
My answer was the organisms are better suited for survival in an aquatic environment if they're an aquatic organism.
Okay. So how do you know that?
Based on their features.
Okay, good. So give me an example again of a feature that might help an aquatic animal.
Gills.
Gills. Okay, good. So let's have Sarah Marie, let's talk about land animals. What evidence do you have that they might do better on land than in water?
They can move around because they have legs.
Okay, good. All right, so what we're gonna do is, I just passed out your elaboration guide, but before we start on that, we're gonna really quickly review biomes. We should have already talked about this in your past schooling careers, but it's an important part of this lesson. So, Cassie, can you tell me what a biome is?
A place, a certain like environment that organisms live, like specific, what's it called?
Like
Okay.
certain characteristics.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, you're thinking, Brayley, can you help her elaborate on that a little bit? No. Okay, Sarah Marie.
It involves both the organisms and the environment, includes them both, and it's just the general living area.
Do y'all agree or disagree?
I agree.
Yeah.
I would say a biome has like also a certain rainfall.
Okay.
Climate.
That's what we're trying to get at. So,
Yeah.
our more formal definition
Yeah.
is a biome is a large region of Earth that has certain climate and certain types of living things. So, for example, when we talked about in our Engage, a lot of you guys had a giraffe or a cheetah or an elephant. Those animals tend to live in a grassland environment, which you see on the left there. But it's basically just the overall general characteristics of a certain area of land. So can you guys think of another example of something that might be a biome? Let's just call on Brayley.
A tundra.
Tundra. Okay, that's another good one. That's in the bottom left there. Let's get one more. Jesse.
A rainforest.
Rainforest. Okay. I'm glad you guys can see these pictures. Great. Okay. So, go. All right. So for the grassland, what external features are common among organisms that live in this biome? I keep moving around without my sticks, which is just a bad idea. Okay, Brayley again.
Legs.
Okay. Maybe not wrong. Let's get one more. Would they have, okay, let's elaborate on this more. Would they have long legs or short legs, and why?
Long legs.
Long legs, why?
So they can be above the grass.
Okay, very good. So in a lot of grassland environments, you're going to see tall grass. So some of the animals that you saw, giraffes, for example, antelopes, gazelles, things of that nature are going to have long legs so they can run really fast because does it look like there's a lot of places to hide there?
No.
No. So do you think an animal on average with short legs would do very well there? No. Okay, we just talked about that, so we'll move on. So, what external features do you think are common for animals that live in the tundra, Anna?
I think that they will have fur.
Fur? Okay. Ashley, why do you think that Anna thinks that?
I think Anna thinks that because it's really cold, so the animals need fur to keep warm.
Good. Okay. So, most animals in the tundra are not going to be like a naked mole rat or a fish that have no sort of fat or fur or things to keep them covered. I'm sure you've all seen polar bears or bears in general, grizzly bears, wolves. They all have really thick, fluffy fur that would help them out and keep them from freezing to death. Okay, deserts. Sarah Marie, what do you think would be characteristics of a desert?
Of an organism?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have a lot of fur because it would overheat.
Okay. Do you think it would have a light colored fur or dark colored fur?
Oh, light colored.
Why is that?
Well, no, dark colored because if it had light colored, it would be easy to be picked apart by predators. So most likely it would blend into the environment more or have some kind of.
With darker colored fur.
What are we talking? I'm sorry, I'm getting confused.
Do y'all
I'm
agree
thinking
or
about it.
disagree?
I'm saying it's like
light
light colored.
So lightish,
Well,
but not
watercolor
white.
is less hot. So
Yeah, but not
Yeah.
white. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then one more. So rainforests. Who have I not called on? Cassie, what do you think are external features common among organisms that live in the rainforest?
Well, this is a hard one.
This is a hard one. This is very hard.
Rainforest, maybe
I was
they're furry too, probably.
They have like rain.
Oh yeah, maybe like
claws or like gripping features so where they can climb the trees.
Okay, y'all agree or disagree with that?
Agree.
Agree. Alright, so generally in a lot of these rainforests you're going to see monkeys or lizards or things that are really good at climbing. Snakes are also good but don't have arms or legs, which is kind of confusing to think about, but it's pretty good. Okay, so what you're going to do now is now you have your elaborate handout. What I want you guys to do is create a concept map using the terms that you see on there. Those are the required terms. If you can think of more things that help you flesh out your concept map, go ahead and add them and try to make as many connections as you have or as you can between all those terms. So I'll give you guys about 10 minutes to do this. You can work individually or in pairs. And then at the end of that 10 minutes, I have an example up here just to see if you have everything kind of the way that we're looking for. Okay? If you have any questions, let me know. Another note on this, remember that with your concept maps, sometimes it's helpful to provide an example here. Have some words with your arrows that help you describe what that is. So you can say, for example, a biome might be one of your terms, and then you could say an example of, just to help you remember what you're saying there, and then in your next circle you can say tundra or grassland, whatever you have there. Yeah, y'all can discuss if you're getting kind of stuck. Y'all remember there's no technical correct answer here. It's really just to help you think and sort these terms. It's about the halfway point. Maybe a couple more minutes.
I think I'm watching this really bad. Y'all don't have to whisper, you can like discuss more. Are y'all about kind of stuck? You want to start going over it?
Sure. I think
Okay. So I'm not going to pull up mine yet. I'm going to have you guys walk me through what you decided with. So we're going to start with our first term, which is kind of our main topic for today, which is external features.
Yeah.
There's no right way to do it though.
There's not, but there's some connections that are important to make here. Okay, so external features, what did you guys have coming out of this?
Aquatic and terrestrial.
Okay, so you have aquatic and terrestrial features. Okay, so what we put is external features. This arrow would represent helps animals thrive in. Shorthand. Animal thrive. Oops. In this circle, what do you think would go here?
O'Brien.
Biomes. Okay, and now two kinds, well, biomes might be aquatic and terrestrial, right? So we'll have over here aquatic, over here terrestrial. Okay, so this is just kind of the vein of thinking that we're getting to. If yours doesn't look exactly like that, that is okay. Remember that these concept maps are supposed to help you make sense of these ideas and put them together in a way that makes sense to you. So this is our key, quote unquote, just so you can see some of the connections and an example of how an example of a terrestrial biome might be a tundra or desert, grassland, rainforest, etc. Okay, y'all any more questions about concept maps or that concept map in specific? That in particular. Cool. So we're going to go ahead and move into the last portion of today's lesson, which is our evaluate. So I'm going to hand these right here, and then if you would pass them down. Don't start on them just yet.
Alright, so what I want you guys to do is write your name at the top of your evaluation guide. We're going to check your understanding today. And then before you start, I want you to clear everything off of the desk. Or since you don't have a lot of space, you can just flip it over. But ideally, in my classroom, Alright, so this is going to be an individual activity, an individual assessment. We're going to be checking to see how much of today's lesson you guys actually understand. So go ahead and begin. And if you have any questions, raise your hand and I'll see it back. Yes. Whenever you're finished, go ahead and turn your paper over. And just wait patiently for a minute. While you guys are waiting, if you want, you can go ahead and work on an assignment from another class. Maybe one that's yellow, if it helps you. Good times.